Should Valve update the console versions of TF2? That is the question of the day. To start off with people that are unaware of this and what's going on, there are console versions of the Orange Box, which do include TF2 on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. I believe Xbox One, it's backwards compatible. On PS4, I believe it's not. Correct me on that, though, if I'm wrong. The biggest difference there is, well, it's really everything. It hasn't been updated in a while. Like, a couple things are known, like Devilman is kind of more overpowered in that version, and there's like different ammo counts for things like Soldier has a lot more rockets and stuff. It also uses peer-to-peer connections, so there's no like dedicated servers or anything like that. If the host leaves the game is over. Like, it just ends. And the 360 version was actually last patched on July 21st, 2009. And the PS3 version was last patched on March 20th, 2008. So when you say those dates and you kind of look at the PC version of TF2, you're like, wow, hey, man, we kind of got lucky with all of the updates we got. No, I'm just kidding. Update the PC version, Valve. I'm not playing, all right? So why hasn't TF2 on the console been updated at all? Apparently, Microsoft wanted to charge players for the updates and Valve didn't want to. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I've always heard. I've also read other things online, though, that Microsoft wanted Valve to pay Microsoft for each patch, like up to $40,000 or something insane like that. I don't know if either of those are true. It wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft wanted Valve to sell it as kind of like a DLC thing, because that's when like DLC was really starting to take off. Like, remember like the Oblivion like horse armor and stuff like that. And you know, you had Halo 3 back in the day with all of the map packs and whatnot. Microsoft is super into DLC. Fallout 3 with all of its DLC, like Into the Pit and Operation Anchorage and Mothership Zeta. I remember actually riding my bike to a store to buy Microsoft points. And that is a throwback. Anyone who remembers what Microsoft points were, you're an OG now. Yeah, we're getting old. What is my personal history with the TF2 console version? That's actually how I was introduced to Team Fortress 2. I had the orange box on for my 360, and that's how I played TF2 for the better part of a couple years, actually, before I got a PC and went over to that. I have plenty of experience with the console version of TF2, and man, it was something else. I'd play it with a couple friends on there all the time, and sure, it was dead half the time, but the other half, you'd have really good matches and stuff. So why would Valve want to update the console versions of TF2? Let's get into the pros first, right? And well, it would bring, obviously, the new maps, game modes like Payload and King of the Hill, stuff like that, weapons, cosmetics, and the item drop system to the console versions of TF2. Some players would enjoy that. Another thing it would possibly bring more players to the console versions of TF2. I'll touch more on that later. Another reason I could think of is like Valve could start charging microtransactions for keys, stuff like that. Because if you have the item drop system, you have the crates dropping, obviously players could then buy the keys to open to get cosmetics and whatnot. Those are the kind of the positives that I thought of, and I'll be honest with you guys, I kind of thought of a whole lot more negatives. Not from like a personal player standpoint, but just if I'm at Valve and I'm just thinking, should we update the console versions of TF2? Let's just take a look at some of the cons and why I think you would have trouble convincing Valve to do so. One, there is a low player base on the console versions. I mean, lately, whenever I've looked, and granted, I may be looking at the wrong times, maybe other people have different experiences than I do, but I see maybe 2, 3, maybe up to 5 lobbies, and they're not even full. I mean, we're talking literally 20 to 30 players. Another thing that would be difficult to convince them on would be the time and the manpower, I think, needed to do so. For those of you that don't know a little bit about me, I am a developer. I'm not a game developer, but I develop something in the programming sphere, that's what I'll say. And when you're working with versions of things that are, well, geez, 12, 13 years old now, it's not as simple as just, oh yes, I want to update everything. No, more than likely a lot of things in there would be broken if you tried to do that, because and not to get into like a technical video, but as languages and things are updated, things are taken out, new things are added in. Some functions that you would use and stuff like that they're just not there anymore. They don't work. That could be a case with this. I'm not saying it is, because I obviously haven't seen any of the source code or anything like that for the console versions of TF2. I don't know. It's over 10 years ago. And I mean, we have to kind of jump through hoops sometimes, updating things from a couple years ago, let alone 10. I think it would take a lot of time and more people than they have on the project right now, we'll say, in order to do that. I mean, look, we can't even get updates for the PC version right now, all right? We can't. Another point is, like, I don't believe Valve would ever get their money back on the investment that they would make up front with all of the hours needed to update it and things like that. I don't think they would ever get their money back, just from the low player count. And I know that sucks to hear for some of you, but it's just the truth. I don't think it would be all that worth it to them from a financial standpoint. I know Valve doesn't always care about the financial standpoint. Well, they kind of do now, but that's a different video. Yeah, I don't think they would ever get their money back on it. And last point is, actually, some players don't really want it updated. They like the old version of TF2. They kind of like this 2007, 2008, 2009 version of TF2, you know? They like the old, how everything was, simple, vanilla weapons. I mean, you see that too. What was it? There are people out there who look up just how to play the 2007 version of TF2. I mean, that's something they're super into, and they don't want the new updates. As for my personal opinion, do I want TF2 updated on the console? Man, this might be an unpopular opinion, but remember, it's just my opinion. My opinion is not fact. I personally like it being this old OG version of, like, kind of vanilla TF2. I do like it. I like sometimes going back and looking at, like, how it was back then and just kind of taking a trip down memory lane for a couple of matches. And if you haven't played it, I recommend checking it out. It's cool. Kind of jank sometimes because you're using a controller, but you'll get used to it. Don't worry. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. I can see why people would want it. Do I think it'll ever happen? Let's just say I would bet everything I own, and I would take a loan out of the bank for like $17 million if I could, take all of that and bet it on no, that it'll never be updated. I want to add a point to that. When I say update it, I mean a major update. Like, oh, we're getting like payload and King of the Hill and, you know, the item drop system, all that. I'm not talking about, oh, hey, there was this like glitch that caused, I don't know, all of your information to be leaked online and then Valve has to take care of it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about major updates. That's kind of my opinion on this. What do you guys think about it? Put your answer down in the comment section below. I will be there for a little bit replying to some comments and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I don't see it ever happening. I hate to disappoint you guys, but just from a pure financial standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm just being honest. And again, I do not work at Valve. I don't know anyone at Valve. I don't know what they're thinking. Hey, maybe they'll come out tomorrow and they'll be like, yeah, we're just blowing up TF2 on the PC and you all have to go play the console version now, but we'll update it. You know, I doubt. Again, I would put everything I own on that not happening. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Put your opinions down in the comment section below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to the channel. We're almost at 300. Can't believe it. It's insane. But yeah, hope you guys have a good one. And thanks for watching.